Y'all ain't hearing me. They cut my food stamps. I ain't paying for none of this shit. I got babies at home that gotta eat. You think I'm just gonna leave my cart here? Hell no. I ain't paying nothing. I'm walking out with it. Try and stop me.
Ma'am, stop right there. Put your hands on the cart.
I'm not stealing. The president said I could have this food.
Ma'am, step away from the exit.
Y'all are harassing me for groceries. I didn't ring a thing up because it's free now.
That's not how it works. Turn around, place your hands behind your back.
No, you can't do that.
Cuffing left wrist.
This ain't over.
Huh?
What up, you guys? It's your girl Coco Filipina, and I just wanted to show you guys it's a sign of the times. Trump just cut EBT benefits, and then today they had the food line, and this is what it looks like. Hold on. The worst part about it is they don't have enough food for everyone here. And I'm literally watching people in line breaking down in tears. This is America, I guess.
Hello guys, welcome once again to the channel. I hope wherever you're watching, you're having a great time. Now, as the government shutdown continues, many Americans are currently struggling with the shortage of food that is happening. And many people are not happy with what they are seeing because we know that Trump's big beautiful bill had some cuts on SNAP, and therefore people are not going to get what they used to get before. We know how SNAP has helped Americans. But right now, because Trump thinks that some of these things that are happening are wasting or increasing into government expenditure, he has opted to cut some of the fundings that are going to those kind of benefits. And therefore, he's been going on without any serious solution coming on. And then we're also seeing this prolonged government shutdown. And that means that in this November, people who depended on SNAP are not going to get anything because Trump and the government have failed to fund that aspect of anti-hunger program that has been helping Americans for years. And this is now a serious issue because Americans who thought that they could have reprieve under President Trump are crying out loud. I don't know whether it is a game that Democrats and Republicans are playing on Americans, because there are those Democrats who say that they are not going to vote for opening of the government if the Republicans do not concede to their demand of having subsidies for over 20 million Americans who are depending on Affordable Care Act. And then we also have the Republicans who are saying that they don't want to have that continuing. They'd rather have Obamacare fall and have an amendment on it. And because of this, there is this push and pull from both sides of the government. And that has left most Americans to suffer because for those who depend on these SNAP benefits, the government cannot fund them, but therefore they are not going to get anything from it. It is really a serious issue. This begs the question, how do Americans elect their leaders? Because right now from my side, I tend to believe that both sides of the government are to blame for the current crisis. They cannot say that they are standing to their position, yet we have Americans who cannot afford some of the things that are very basic to their survival. I wanted to listen to some of the Americans who are complaining and talking about how this government is doing the worst for them. They didn't expect such kind of things to happen for them. Let's watch this. I'll come back in the end with my commentaries.
How long is this sustainable?
Wow. It's not. It won't be from the first day. For every meal that a food bank provides, the SNAP program provides 9. There's no way we can meet that gap. There's no way we can replace every single one of those meals. It is not sustainable for food banks to fill this gap. We were not built to do this. We will stand out there and we will do our very best.
America's unfolding hunger crisis. This weekend at Boston's American Red Cross Pantry, the line stretched 2 football fields for people to pick up free food from the pantry. This is the second largest recorded line in attendance since 1982 when the pantry was established. And they are citing a double whammy of food stamp benefits being cut. At the same time, grocery store prices go up. Grocery store food prices on average have gone up 24%. And the temporary aid from the pandemic has been cut. And a lot of people are very upset because, the U.S. government has unlimited money for covert foreign wars, all these programs to recklessly spend, but they cut food stamps for Americans back home, and people aren't getting enough to eat, and they aren't making it on what it is. And honestly, the increase in the pandemic aid was just keeping up with inflation, and now that they have cut it with the new inflation prices, if you're trying to feed a family of 4 and you're not making it, you're gonna have to go to these food pantries and really cut back on what you're buying, which is very unfortunate. And it's just crazy because it's you look at what the government's spending money on, $982 billion military budget, but we can't even, feed our own people right now. And what's scary is this recession hasn't even hit yet, and people are still fully employed. So wait till the job losses, hit. And a lot of people are working and still receiving these benefits because they're not making enough to support, their family on them. So once this recession gets going, you're going to have a lot of upset people with, the stagflation that's happening right now. It's going to be an interesting, volatile mix for the United States. So follow me, the Bitcoin Capitalist, for more updates.
I just wanted to make a post because sorry, I was crying a little bit. But I received SNAP benefits. I don't know, I'm a little embarrassed to say that, I guess, but it is what it is. And I have my 9-month-old and my 2-year-old down here, and I have my husband, the father of these boys, and we just got married a month ago, and he's in between jobs, and we haven't had any income coming in for the last couple months, and the only thing that gets us by when we're low on money like that is just knowing that at least we have food, and a roof over our table or over our heads. But I just got confirmation, and I'm seeing everything being posted about it now, that SNAP benefits won't be coming in for November, which is really scary because even when he was working before and we received SNAP benefits, with the cost of groceries, we would go through them. We got $700 a month, which sounds like a lot, and it got us by. And we'd always run out maybe the last week and a half of the month, and then WIC would come in really handy and kick in and get us by for that last week and a half.
I just finally got confirmation that food stamps is officially cut for next month.
About 2 months ago, I stopped eating dinner almost every night of the week so that my boyfriend and I could have enough food left over to have lunch the next day. This was before we were about to lose our food stamps. Mind you, we both work.
I don't think that we really realize the depths that this is, the damage that this is going to do, but the women, the mothers, and the families, but the mothers especially, who are going to go without meals so their children don't have to. I know that I will absolutely be one of those mothers.
But because we have children, and because aftercare and before care is too expensive, I've taken a job that's basically minimum wage so that I can be there to pick up my kids. I cannot fathom what we're gonna do without that food stamp money, because if I already couldn't eat dinner with that food stamp money,
I'm so tired of seeing people say like, oh, well, maybe if you had a job, you could get your groceries, or, you know what I'm saying, you wouldn't have to depend on stamps. I work full time. Thank you. And I do rely on stamps because guess what? It's not enough money in this economy for me to be able to pay bills and get stuff that we need and provide for my 2 kids. So yes, I depend on stamps. And I have a full-time job. So please know that people out here depend on stamps. It's not because we out here just mooching off the government. It's because we literally need that to provide for our family.
I work hard every single day. I get up every single day and clean houses, and I still rely on food stamps to feed my 6 children because the prices are so high. It's unrealistic to think about not having food stamps. Next month, I'm so terrified because 6 babies are always eating. Plus myself, I eat about 1 meal a day, but still.
My husband is a government employee that still has to go to work during this government shutdown, so our days look basically the same. He goes to work, but he's not going to be getting paid during the shutdown, and yet our bills still continue. And we are on day 8 with no end in sight, and so I was going to tell you some of the bills that definitely need to get paid regardless of if we get paid or not, right? First is our mortgage. We've already paid it this month, but it's $2,630. This month we still need to pay our water bill, which is $93. Our electric bill is like $161, I believe, and our garbage bill is $63. So we pay, I think on average, I would say between electric and water, we pay about $300 a month. And then preschool for my daughter is $345. So those are kind of like set bills. Now I will say we still have gas because my husband still has to go to work. So $150, and then groceries. And I think we could probably do about $600 a month if we were very tight. And so that total minimum, we need like $4,200 a month to like live. And it's not like I can just go get a job because we have young kids at home and my husband still has to go to work. The bills continue even though he's not going to be getting paid.
Grocery prices are outrageous as fuck without them getting rid of SNAP benefits. Like, I cannot imagine how expensive it's about to get. I can't eat milk and fucking sugar for less than $15. Not even a gallon of milk either. A half gallon of milk and whatever this, how many, is this a pound? 4 pounds of sugar. $15 fucking in Oklahoma. Not even in Oklahoma City, in a small ass town in Oklahoma. Like, I actually can't breathe. But the economy is so great, right? Right? Because gas is cheap, right? Oh my fucking God, I'm about to fucking lose it. I had to get this so that I could have coffee, and I had to get whole milk. I don't even fucking like whole milk, but I need the nutrients. Oh God, people are looking at me like I'm crazy. I have to get whatever I can, okay? And this is so I can make a fucking protein shake because I have no groceries and I have no funds to go fill my fridge with groceries. So
to use SNAP benefits, you should get a job. And if you have a job that doesn't pay enough, you should get a better job. And if you don't qualify for a better job, you should get a college degree. But don't complain about your student loan debt and don't expect any kind of student loan forgiveness. And after all of that, if you still have to be on government assistance, you should always be thinking about how poor you are, and you should look poor and you should act poor, and you should never get anything that brings you a single moment of joy because you don't deserve dignity because you're poor. But I can't wait this Christmas season to do my angel tree and provide Christmas for a child in need.
Do you know why I'm not concerned about the SNAP benefits being cut off in November? Because the only thing that stands between the masses and the lives of the elites is the social contract in which the masses have food. It takes about 1 day for an entire civilization to completely cannibalize itself when that social contract of food being available is gone. The thing that keeps the elites up at night is you being hungry for 1 single day. Because that's the only barrier between them and you throughout history. It's a fact. They already fixed the WIC program and had it removed from being affected by this because it was the first thing to be losing its benefits, and they're now pulling money from the tariff revenue to supplement that income for single mothers with children. You know why? Because of the exact same reason it takes 1 day for someone who is hungry in masses to rip your head off. So don't worry about it too much. They're terrified of that, so it'll get resolved. Even if it's in the very last second and they get tons and tons and tons and tons of clicks over it and you get a bunch of anxiety from it, because that's what they're scared of, is you being hungry. So Hope that helps.
If you are naive enough to think that the pause to SNAP benefits on November 1st isn't going to affect you because you don't receive food stamps, I want you to hear this. About 1 in 8 Americans receive SNAP benefits. In fact, in Oklahoma, where I live, that's 1 in 6 people. So about 600,000 people in my state alone, Oklahoma, receive SNAP benefits. About 1 in 4 children in the U.S. receive SNAP benefits. But you're not one of those people, so you don't care, but hang with me. When those benefits go away, just about $9 billion in grocery spending vanishes. So you've got to be thinking about not just the grocery stores being able to stay open and pay their employees, but you have to think about the entire supply chain, trucks on the road, people who provide food to these grocery stores. $9 billion. Every dollar spent in SNAP benefits adds about $1.50 to $1.80 to the economy. So cutting those benefits isn't saving that dollar, it's taking away that $1.50 to your local economy. But you don't receive SNAP benefits, you don't work for a grocery store, you don't drive a truck, you don't give a shit. But when all of those things happen, the only way to combat that is to drastically increase the price of groceries. Grocery prices are already up over 3% in 2025 alone, which is almost an entire percentage higher than the average increase in grocery prices over the last 20 years. I thought they were supposed to go down day one though. So even if SNAP benefits only pause for 1 month, which by the way would be detrimental to all the people I mentioned before that you don't give a shit about, it will cost the economy roughly $13 to $14 billion in profit. And you can expect your grocery prices in just that 1 month to go up at least 1%. And states will stand to lose about $300 to $500 million in sales tax revenue. So even if you do not receive SNAP benefits, you never have, you never will, you do not want these to be paused on November 1st.
So guess what I'm doing for the first time in 12 years, okay? I am getting up, I'm ready, did my hair, took my shower, brushed my teeth, and I'm going to do my community service hours. Why community service hours, do you ask? Because they told me in order to keep my food stamps, I would have to do 15 hours of community service per week. That's at minimum. I can do more if I want to, which I probably will because I don't have anything else going on. And my kids are in daycare since I qualified for subsidized childcare. So I'm going to do my 15 hours or more. I haven't decided yet. It depends on how I like it at the place where I'm volunteering. But anyways, this is just until I get an actual full-time job, because they don't just let you stay in community service for as long as you want. You have to like find employment or go to school. So
if we have 42 million people requiring food stamps and relying on the government to feed them, why are we not talking about the fact that we have 42 million people relying on the government for food stamps? Why are we not changing the tone of this? That's a problem. And even then, do we really have 42 million, or are there some people on there taking advantage of the system that shouldn't be on there? That's always going to be a concern of ours because there's been known people to do this. My wife worked in a grocery store. The stories she would tell me of those that would come in and the products that they would buy when they got money loaded under their EBT card, it was insane to hear the stories that she had to tell me. And also the backhand knowledge of people selling their EBT funds to other people. It's a lot. The fact that we have 42 million people relying on the government for food stamps is a troubling statistic. And we're not trying to figure out the solution to it. If you rely on food stamps, that means you rely on the government way too much to even like take all that away, which is what we're experiencing right now. So let's change the tone. How do we get 42 million people off of food stamps? How do we get them in jobs that pay them enough? How do we get the cost of living to go down? How do we get things to actually be affordable so people don't have to work 3 and 4 and 5 jobs? But those that are not working and just living off the government, how do we get them into jobs? Like, stop living off the government. If you have to sacrifice your nails, your hair, your whatever you're doing to like beautify yourself, but you're living off government assistance, we gotta fix these problems because the entitlement is insanely irresponsible and it's frustrating to see.
Well, Democrats are lying again, this time about SNAP benefits, and it's a crisis that they created. Here are the facts. SNAP benefits will stop in a few days, but not because Republicans shut down the government or because they're refusing to authorize emergency benefits. It's because Democrats keep voting against reopening the government. There's a clean continuing resolution sitting there right now that would fully fund SNAP and every other essential program. Republicans have passed it 13 times. Democrats have voted no 13 times. Now they're pretending this emergency fund can magically be used to pay SNAP benefits, but it can't. The law only allows that fund to be used to supplement existing appropriations when there's a shortfall, not when there's no budget at all because Democrats refuse to pass one. Even the USDA said in writing that contingency funds can't be legally used during a shutdown. Democrats know this. They're lying about it anyway, the same way they lie about Republicans controlling all branches of government. You still need 60 votes in the Senate, and everybody knows it, and nobody is buying the baloney. They know it, they just don't care. Because chaos is leverage, they said it themselves, and they're using it to pressure you to make you suffer so they can push their agenda that nobody voted for. So let me ask you, do Democrats ever tell the truth about anything? And who do you think is responsible for this shutdown? Let me know in comments.
Why is the government shut down and whose fault is it? So the Republicans are 100% blaming Democrats for not voting on their bill to fund the government and keep it open. However, Democrats have very clearly said we need these healthcare protections put back into the bill so that millions of Americans will not lose healthcare or will not have their premiums skyrocket. We need this put in there, these subsidies put back in there that were taken out by Trump's big, beautiful bill. The Republicans have not agreed to that, and that is why the government is still shut down. And the House is the one who wrote the bill, and they have left. The Republican majority leader has sent them on vacation. They have not even been in office to be able to write a new bill so the Senate can negotiate as well. On top of that, if the government is still shut down, millions of people will be losing their food stamps come November 1st. There is a contingency, there is like an emergency fund that could be used to fund the food stamps for another month that the administration has access to, and they have just said that they will not use that. Trump has the whole administration has decided this is not enough of emergency. We cannot access that funding when they can, and children starving, not having enough to eat, families not having enough to eat, it's apparently not enough of an emergency. So if you hear people saying this is the Democrats' fault, and you will, I want you to understand what's actually happening. The Democrats are not voting on this continuing resolution for the budget because they are trying to protect your health care. They don't want people to suffer. They don't want people to die because they cannot access the health care they need, which is what will happen. This is the only leverage that they have, because the Republicans say, oh, we'll reopen the government and we'll talk about that later. Guess what happened last time? They reopened the government. Did they revisit that? Did they negotiate that? No. This is why the Democrats are holding out, and I hope that they continue for everyone's sake, and I hope that the Republicans agree to negotiate very soon. There's also, I think, a bill being brought forward to continue funding the food stamps, WIC and SNAP benefits, and hopefully at least the Republicans will vote on that. We'll find out.
Democratic states just hit Trump with a massive lawsuit, stopping him from cutting off food to millions of Americans. We won't let him starve our people. While Donald Trump's USDA plays politics with people's plates, Democratic governors and attorneys general are stepping up to fight back and feed America. More than 24 Democratic attorneys general and Democratic governors from 3 states just filed a major lawsuit against the Trump administration for its cruel and unusual decision to suspend food benefits during the government shutdown. Their message is clear. Americans will not go hungry because of Donald Trump's political games. At the center of this battle is SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. The program that feeds 1 in 8 Americans, providing an average of about $187 a month to struggling families, seniors, and veterans. When Trump's government shutdown cut off new funding on October 1st, the USDA had a choice. Use the nearly $6 billion in contingency funds Congress set aside exactly for emergencies like this, or let millions of Americans go hungry. You know what Donald Trump chose. He chose to let millions of Americans go hungry. Trump's USDA chose cruelty. Then, unbelievably, they slapped a banner on their website declaring the well has run dry and tried to blame Democrats for the disaster. But Democratic state leaders aren't buying it, and they're taking the fight to court. The lawsuit filed in Massachusetts says that what Donald Trump did by holding the SNAP benefits is not just immoral, it's actually illegal. Share your thoughts in the comment section and follow me for more.
Now, welcome back to the channel. You have heard from the horse's mouth how the food shortage in America is affecting almost everyone. And that really is a problem that the government needs to sort out immediately. Food banks are currently experiencing long queues of people who need help, of people who need some food. But if you look at how the government is prioritizing its agenda, you'd wonder whether it really knows that most Americans are living under deplorable conditions. It is very difficult. If a government is responsive, it needs to develop policies that ensures that every American can access good food and they are able to survive. But then if you look at what is coming out of this government shutdown, they are not responsive at all. And as midterms are approaching, I believe that Americans are going to make proper election decisions so that they are going to elect leaders who will represent their interests. Democrats, while you might think that they are there to protect you, they are only protecting their interests. They'd rather Americans go without food, but protect few things that they feel is supporting their party decision. And that is something that everybody must look into keenly. Republicans also are looking at their own interests. They don't want to budge because they are looking at it and they're saying that if they budge, Trump won't be happy. So Americans, while going to the polls, they need to make the right decision. They need to know whom they are electing to any position that is there up for grabs. Due to the ongoing federal government shutdown that began on October 1st, the United States is facing a looming food aid crisis. Approximately 42 million Americans rely on SNAP each month, and these benefits are under threat because federal funding was not secured. Food banks around the country are already seeing long lines and increased demand as people anticipate the disruption. States are scrambling. For instance, New York State declared a state of emergency to shift $65 million into food banks in anticipation of SNAP lapses. The disruption is especially severe because SNAP is widely recognized as a key bulwark against hunger. Missing even a single month of benefit can force families to choose between food, utilities, and medicine. The shutdown's effect is dual-fold. First, federal workers and contractors are furloughed or working without pay, reducing incomes for many households. Second, the SNAP program itself is imperiled. The United States Department of Agriculture stated that no benefits would be issued on November 1st unless the funding lapse is resolved. Although two federal judges ordered the USDA to make use of a contingency fund, that fund only covers a fraction of the need, and the states warn they can't fill the gap. Hence, millions may see their food benefit payments delayed or cut, which compounds food insecurity risks. This is not just a temporary inconvenience. It is described as unprecedented for the SNAP history. While the crisis affects all Americans who rely on food assistance, lower-income communities and service sector workers are especially vulnerable. Those who had minimal saving or are already food insecure are pushed into a deeper crisis. Food banks warn they cannot scale to the volume of need if SNAP stops. Interestingly, the data point out that a significant portion of SNAP recipients are non-Hispanic white. In fiscal year 2023, whites made more than 35% of SNAP users. This means that while we often think of a food aid shortfall as affecting racial minorities, the disruption is very much felt across racial lines, including white households, especially those in economically precarious positions. Turning to the political dimension, Donald Trump's return to the presidency after the 2024 election is relevant here. Exit poll data show white voters, in particular, white voters without a college degree, supported Trump at higher levels. White evangelical Protestants white Catholics and white mainline Protestants showed strong support for Trump in 2024 election. Therefore, it can be argued that a sizable portion of white Americans did contribute to putting Trump back into office, and thereby into a position of political power where such policy decisions, including budget and funding negotiations, take place. Given that the shutdown and associated policy stance are now contributing to the food aid crisis, the choice of voters, including many white Americans, play a part in the chain of causation. When electorates vote for candidates whose platforms prioritize certain policies like tax cuts, smaller governments, less spending on social programs, then policy outcomes will reflect those priorities. If many white Americans elected Trump and the Republican Congress allied with him with an agenda that emphasizes budget restraint and cuts to spending, then the resulting policy environment is more likely to produce funding shortfalls for programs like the SNAP. In this way, the food aid crisis isn't just a technical failure. It reflects political choices and accountability. When food assistance is jeopardized because of budget impasse, the root is not merely administrative, it is political. As such, white American electorate choices in supporting Trump helped shape political environment in which the shutdown and SNAP funding crisis became possible. That does not mean every white voter bears sole responsibility. Many other factors and actors are involved, but it is accurate to say their decisions are part of the broader cause and effect chain to the current crisis. This tells you the kind of issues that Americans are dealing with. White Americans were very strong on voting Trump. They believed he was the right person. But then if you look at data again, you realize that most whites are the ones who depend on SNAP. The data from 2023 reveals that white Americans comprise of almost 35% of those who use this SNAP. And therefore, you can't say that SNAPs only affect minority groups. It is affecting white Americans in the hardest way possible. And this is an issue that needs proper mechanisms to be solved. Americans, next time when you go to elections, make the right choices to vote for a leader who will prioritize your needs instead of their policies or even their ego. Share your thoughts down in the comment section. And if you're watching us for the first time, remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share. Thank you. Let's meet on the next one.